this right here, this screw is what holds the metal bracket in. It's going to be behind there. We probably should have taken the battery box off first. We'll take that off in a second. You'll notice that these screws right here look a little bit more like a wood screw than a straight machine screw, where the screws down here are straight machine screws. There's a little tab right here. You want to make sure that you don't break that tab, otherwise your battery box will be loose. And when you put it back in, you want to make sure that you get that tab in there so it's all secure. Okay, I've already replaced this floorboard with one that I already cut for him. This is the back part. I may or may not put this on here, especially since I'll probably have to remove the rear fender when it flops around, because it's not going to be held by the airbox anymore. There would have been 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there. They're different sizes than this part of the floorboard, but this would all be up at this point. Taking the seat off would make it a lot easier to get the whole thing off, but since I've already cut it, we should be able to just pull this without removing this. Okay. Right here, you might be able to see that metal bracket, and it's actually covering up part of the floorboard here. So we're going to have to push that bracket up so we can get the floorboard to come out. Alright, so these hoses right here are going to go to the airbox. Pull the tank up, it should be loose at this point. These are tucked under it. This has got kind of a weird thing. There's nothing missing here. This is just some kind of resonance type circuit, I'm guessing, that Honda made up to make everything work a little bit better. We're going to delete all of that. This cap right here, save that, and you can use this end to block off something else later. Don't throw anything away. Sometimes you gotta just take that hose and break it a little bit because it's stuck on some of the plastics. Once you do, it should be a lot easier to remove. Alright. So it says right here, number 2 screwdriver will work for most of the screws on this bike. On a carb, it's absolutely necessary so you don't strip out the screws. Especially a stock one. You can replace it with hex nuts if you'd like after you get them out, but you will strip the screws if you don't use a number 2. It absolutely should go without saying, even though everybody doesn't do it, if you change your intake at all, you have to rejet. Absolutely have to rejet every time. You can't just slap on a filter and go. Now for those of you who are still running a stock airbox, this right here can fill up with water. It's pretty gross right now, so who knows what's actually in there. It's definitely gross. We'll figure out what that is in a second. But if this gets filled, you want to dump it. Go ahead and take a moment to do that right now, since it's way dirtier than I expected. My stepson has had this bike about 2 weeks, and we haven't had time to do much to it. Like I said before, take a wrench, just break that rubber. It'll be way easier to pull something out of a hose. It's just going to come apart though. Alright, there's one hidden screw here. Alright. So, I think he may have dropped the bike, so that's probably why the oil is there. Hopefully it's nothing else. But for those of you who are having problems on a stock Ruckus, you do not need to rejet. You may need to clean your jets, but a lot of times people will say pull the filter, make sure it's seated, put this on properly, and make sure that that last screw is in properly. Any kind of air leak in here will change your air fuel settings, and that'll mess up your acceleration. You'll get bogging. All right. Really a mess. All right, I'm gonna pull off that bolt, and that bolt. And the airbox should come off. Those are probably 10 millimeters. $10mm and 12mm will be the majority of the bolts that you deal with for the first many months of owning the Ruckus. So, go to your auto store, pick up one of these with a bunch of sockets, make sure you get metric. Make sure it has that 10 and the 12. All right. I'm going to set all these screws and these bolts in the airbox, and then set them aside. For some reason, if I decide to put the airbox back on, I want to try to keep as many of the parts together so you can figure out how to reassemble it easier. You can see how by connecting here to here, it really keeps this bumper up, this fender. So when you take this out, it's going to slap against the tire and make an annoying noise. That one up there is the shortest, just to compare, to remember for myself and you. That's the short one. This one and this one are these longer bolts. Back off that. Sometimes take a flathead, you can just push that hose a little bit. Like I said, if you just break that sort of stickiness that it gets from being old, it'll slide off much easier. wires. That's ridiculous. Just gotta get a hold of that wire. Slide it back onto the hose a little bit. All right. I'm just removing the hose clamp or loosening the hose clamp on the main hose that goes from the airbox to there so we can pull this out. Probably would have been a better idea to do that first. Be real careful not to break your hose. Like I said, you may want to use it, and if it's an older ruck, it's been sitting out, it's going to be real dry. Alright. Get to this little mini clamp. A little easier. Prying that hose a little bit, just giving it a little bit to break the seal. Alright. One more back here. Let's see if you can see the hose connection. Oh, I'll bring it right up. Just take these, twist it around a little bit. Hopefully it's in focus, you get a good grip on it. And then just so that pull it off of that choke point where it kind of clicks in. And like I said, you can just kind of give that a light. You don't want to rip it, but you want to try to see they hear that crack. And then it should be a little bit easier to pull it off. So I'm not going to bother with it right now because I don't think we need that. All right. Remove the last hose off the side of the carb here. We're going to try to pull the carb out. Got a couple of things that we want to remove before we get it going. Might have been easier to remove this, but I think we can do without it, which is one of the reasons why I have the half floorboard, so I can get to it easier. So that you need to pinch from the bottom. I know you can't see what I'm doing. But once you've seen it, once you've done it, and then you see it, you can see that if you can just squeeze these right here, it'll just pop right out. And just set that off to the side. And then we're going to remove this. There's a little tab right on that. I'll show it to you after I pull it. Let's try taking the the choke off first. So take that off, give us a little bit of more room on the throttle sensor. Really, I think choke is a misnomer. This is really more of a enrichment valve. Does not want to go. I'm not going to pull it with the pliers. Let's see if I can't just press that button a little bit better and maybe just barely pressing that button, and then I'm going to scooch it with the screwdriver a little bit. It pops right off. So all those wires are out of the way. I'm going to try to bring it around so that you can see the throttle cable. By the way, this is where you adjust your idle speed. You turn it in a little bit, it'll go faster. Pull it out a little bit, it'll go a little slower. And that's going to be 12mm on both sides. I'm just going to loosen this one a smidge. Alright. And then I'm going to try to keep this one about in the place. It doesn't have to go back exactly at the same place, but being about in the same place helps. And then I'm going to loosen this one all the way, because we need this open space to come up to here so it can slide out. So I'm going to pull it up. It should slide right out because there's a little bit of a loose part right there. And then you're going to take the cable around, and there's a little slot right here. I don't know if you can see that from your angle, but there's a little slot where the wire will kind of pop out like so. And then our throttle's off, and just set that to the side somewhere. Nothing should fall off that if you haven't loosened it too much. And then, once again, we're going to take that number 2 screwdriver that you need, and we should be able to unbolt the hose clamp. You can take it off from the manifold or the carb, doesn't matter too much. I'm going to take the whole thing off, so I'm going to take it off at the manifold. And push down nice and hard, and hopefully don't strip it like I'm starting to do. Let's try it in this one. Let's see if we have better luck there. Alright. Put your finger underneath the hose clamp, and you can feel the screw go up to the other side of the hose clamp, because you don't want to pull it all the way out and lose your screw, but you can pull it out just about most of the way. And then, it's not going to be perfectly easy, but you should be able to start pulling it out. I have forgotten to take off the fuel, and then there's 2 hoses up front here. That is the coolant that heats the fuel and the carb for the winter. It just kind of runs through it a little bit, barely touches it, and it'll warm it up. So let me pull these hoses here. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, now, on the carb, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but right here, this is the fuel line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the hose clamp. I'm going to take that wrench and just try to turn the hose a little bit, and then I should be able to pull it. And the whole gas is going to want to try to leak out of there. You can try to plug it up, or you can just kind of find somewhere to kind of prop it so it's going straight up, and that way it won't leak. Now if I can loosen the carb, see if I can pop it out, because it really wants to pull on those coolant lines. Let me see if I can get to that clamp. Alright, I'm able to get the clamp, slide it off of that one. Let me see if I can rotate it this way. manhandle it a little bit. And I got the other clamp off the other side, the coolant line. I'm just going to try to pop that off. Once again, you can plug it or find somewhere to put it up. It's going to leak a little bit of coolant. You might smell that burning on your engine later, but it's not drastic. And then that one's pulled up. That should be, everything's disconnected now. And there we go. There's the carb. We haven't drained the fuel, so if you dump it this way or that, the fuel will come out of that. But we'll open this up. We'll rejet it for a different intake, at least a trial beginning jet, and we'll try to clean it up at the same time. Be back in a second. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not the best angle for hooking up some of the radiator hoses. Let me see if I can show you. So you've got a radiator hose hanging here, coolant hose sitting here that we've got to put on there, and then the other one I've gotten out of the way is right here, and then I've got my fuel hose right there. So we're going to get those on there before we really lock it all down. Okay, so get that one on that side. I might be able to pull that on by hand. The other coolant, put that on, and then get that. That's pretty good. And then untuck that gas one from tucking it back earlier, and connect that to there. When we start this up, we're going to have to turn the keys on a couple of times to get the fuel pump to pump the fuel back up to it, and to fill the float, because at this point the float is entirely empty. So we're going to have to fill that back up before we can even get to running. So you put it all back together. It doesn't run right away. Don't panic right away. Alright. That's back on. We're going to tighten down this hose clamp. Good. It might still turn on you a little, especially with this drier one. I may have to figure out how to tighten up his clamps a little, but that's pretty good. So more movement than I'd like to see, but I don't think we're going to lose air through there. Alright, so then throttle sensor, you can't really confuse these two plugs or put them on backwards. Obviously just don't jam it onto something, and the way the wire bends, it really kind of remembers where it's supposed to go. Pop that in. Remember, the little bracket that holds this, I just didn't put it back on here, so that's fine. We can cut that off if you want, but it really ain't going to hurt anything. Tuck it up a little bit if it needs be. And the last thing here is this, and what I like to do is almost try to take it and go like as if you're going to wrap the whole thing around. I kind of, if that makes sense, and then put it in there. And then bring it back around. Hopefully don't twist it. And then remember, we only loosened that one a little bit. So we just got to bring that one up, and it should be approximately in the same place that it was. Okay, and then I should have my 12 millimeter. Just kind of figure out where you want that to be that's out of the way. Just got to hold the carb because it's kind of flexible while you tighten that. Alright. That looks pretty good. Make sure, just give it once over, make sure everything's connected, and I think we're ready to give it a start. So now that the carb is back in, everything seems to be connected. Let me give it a start. The fuel pump down in this area is going to click a couple of times. That's what we want to hear. So I'll probably turn it on and off a couple of times, letting it click, trying to fill the float back up on the carb. It's about 18 times every time I do that. 3 times should be about good. Let's see if his battery is in good enough condition to push start it. Nice. Nice. Very happy.